Here in Stowe, we have Charles Safford, the town manager, joining us this morning. And Mr. Safford, thanks so much for sitting in on the Dave Graham Show here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us and covering Stowe.
And it was quite a drive up here this morning. Of course, we've had a lot of chatter on WDEV all summer about the big road project on Route 100 to get to Stowe from Waterbury, and still a lot of activity out there. Although it wasn't as bad as it might have been. I've seen a lot of road projects around Vermont that slow you down more than this one did, at least for me this morning. But tell us a little bit about that. Where are we in that process, and when are they expected to wrap up construction on the road coming into Stowe from Waterbury and I-89?
We have two things going on right now. One, the state continues to reconstruct Route 100 from Waterbury to Stowe, and so that work is primarily occurring in the evenings, and they're going to work throughout this construction season, pick up again in the spring, where they're going to install a sidewalk along the lower village and also finish the reconstruction of the road. At the same time, during the days right now, the Stowe Fire District is contracted to put a larger water main in the lower village. So they're going to put in an 8-inch water main. So that's what you're seeing during the daytime right now.
Wow, so there's a little extra dose of construction there on the road coming into town here from the south.
Well, we're trying to coordinate as best as possible to get things in place to avoid having to cut into the road later on.
Sure, well, that does make sense because obviously you want to save that cost if possible. Now, tell me a little bit about. It seems like I'm hearing that there may be some other projects down the road coming for Stowe. What else is in the pipeline?
We're working on two big bond votes right now in November. So one is to reconstruct the sidewalks along all our Class 1 highways. That goes from the Public Safety Building up through Maple Street and up to the Field Guide Restaurant. And so that's a multi-million-dollar project in itself. We're going to, if the voters approve it, we're going to try to get it in place in 2019 before the state comes in and repaves those roads in 2020. Coinciding with that is a separate bond vote to see if the voters want to finish undergrounding and relocating the power lines on Main Street. That in itself will be a multi-million-dollar bond vote as well. And again, the intent is to get the work done and coordinate that work between the sidewalks and overheads to prevent rework and put it in place before the state paves so we don't have to disrupt that investment.
Yeah, sure. And that idea of putting the overhead wires underground, I know Woodstock did that quite a while back, and it really does contribute to the overall beauty of these older Vermont villages if you can do that, because obviously these villages were built in the days before overhead power lines, and then the power lines were added later.
Right.
They don't exactly help the aesthetics of the overall scene.
Well, there's folks will be taking that into consideration. There's some folks doing before and after are photoshopping out the power line so people might get a sense of what it would look like. Of course, Stowe is bread and butter is travel and tourism. There's a lot of folks on Main Street every day, 4 seasons of the year, and a big iconic symbol of Stowe is the community church. A lot of people love to take pictures of it, and so we'll see. It's what the voters decide where they want to invest their money, but there's certainly going to be a lively community conversation in the next couple months about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Are there groups lining up on either side and?
Well, it'll be interesting. It's been an idea that's been around for a long time. It's coming to a head. I think there's certainly people in favor, and just like anything in a democracy, I'm sure there's folks that may not be as enamored with the idea of spending their money in that area.
Yeah, it does sound like a costly project. What is the price tag?
We don't have the price totally locked in yet. We have a lot of overhead utilities on those poles, so we need numbers from all of them. Public Works is busy trying to coordinate and get a sense of what those costs might be.
So you would have the Stowe Electric Department. You would have the obviously the local telephone company, now I guess consolidated, and then you have various cable companies up there, and lots of. I mean, when you think about utility poles, they're carrying a lot of stuff these days.
Absolutely, there's nothing but more and more wires on those poles. So if we do go underground, we'll try to put sufficient conduit to meet future capacity needs.
Yeah, and that's an interesting process in itself because obviously then you have to accommodate any changes in the future by ensuring access to the underground conduits and I mean there's a lot to this kind of a project, I'm sure.
There is. Fortunately, we have Stowe Electric, that's a municipal electric, working with us. A very talented crew over there as well. Harry Shepard is a very dedicated and talented public works director. There's been a tremendous amount of time put in to think this through. I will say I'm also very appreciative. The Main Street property owners have been very cooperative to date, and that's what it takes to make something like this happen, is people seeing that there's some near-term pain, but potentially some long-term gain if in that cooperation.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Now, how long have you been the town manager in Stowe here, Charles Safford?
I've been here for 11 years.
Wow, and
Yeah.
and it seems like it would be a cool place to be town manager because you have, as you put it, you have a lot of talented people here. There's like and there's a vibrant arts community in addition to all the ski-based tourism and other outdoor stuff here, and so must be you must be having a lot of fun.
Most days, I wouldn't say every day, but most days I'm glad to come into work and try to contribute. I'm very proud of the team we've built up here. We have some very dedicated public servants, starting with the select board, but a number of commissions and committees that work very hard to make Stowe what it is. And Stowe has a very big name recognition, so. It has very, as you indicated, a lot of natural beauty, both in its historic downtown and what Mother Nature blessed us with. People love to come here. It's become a bona fide four-season resort community, and every year it seems like it's becoming more and more vibrant. And one group I'd like to call out in particular is Stowe Vibrancy. Heidi Sherman will be here later, Scott Noble, and others have worked hard to create a downtown organization that's brought a lot of vitality to the Main Street, and there's more and more to do every year in Stowe.
All right. Well, town manager Charles Safford of the town of Stowe, I want to thank you very much for stopping by and getting us started this morning on the Dave Graham Show here on our remote broadcast from the Green Mountain Inn in your lovely downtown. And it's a real pleasure to have you on the air.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Keep smiling.